everyone, and welcome to another session of Franchising with FASA. I'm Romany Thresher, and joining us today for this discussion is Inani non-profit Accelerator Incubator. The founder, Botha, together with his colleagues, Ornica, Mukhavhuli, who is involved in training, and Dupree, who works with differently abled in the education sector. Inani non-profit organization Incubator Accelerator is a non-profit focusing in the area of skills development, training, education, bringing together franchises and businesses and funders with the goal of reducing unemployment and creating jobs. Also joining us today is Shaun Stoltz, who is the franchisor for Barcelos franchise, who has been in operation since 1997 as a quick serve restaurant and takeaway. They have 84 stores across South Africa and 140 stores worldwide and operate in 18 different countries. So let's come and find out how FASA, Inani Nonprofit Accelerator Incubator, and Barcelos collaborate and work together to create jobs. Let's go and find out. So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you for having been here today.
Thank you, Romany.
I'm going to start off just giving us a little bit of a brief. I'm going to ask Nico just to give us a bit of a brief overview about this project. What is it about? And then we're going to be chatting with Barcelos because they've been the pioneers in this project. In other words, they're the ones that are facilitating this program. They are providing the facilities. And also that Barcelos, just to remind you, has they started in 1997, and they are a quick serve restaurant and takeaway what do you call it, business, franchise business, and they have 84 stores in South Africa and 142 worldwide in 18 different countries. So there's a lot of opportunities for those who are differently abled, learning to upskill themselves, and let's find out what this opportunity is all about. So heading over to Nico. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you, Romany. It's great to be with you guys today, and thank you for the opportunity. As we spoke in the previous times and the advertisements and the interviews we had with FASA towards the members, Inani is the outsourced solution towards the association, but also towards the members. One of them being Barcelos, like we have with us today. Basically, Inani is the bridge between the public and the private sector, facilitating resources, money, funds, and then also services to execute, so that in order that government can achieve their targets for job creation, training, and employment delivery, creation, and then from the private sector, how to increase your footprint. So in a nutshell, this partnership with Barcelos and the Basic Education Department for Inclusive Education, it's where we have been piloting numerous smallish pilots across the country successfully, and this partnership with Barcelos is our first corporate partner that we are now rolling out with, where we've successfully facilitated training funds from the CETAs towards the private sector, being Barcelos, and Barcelos also coming on board and co-funding for the training development of this differently abled children that we have, or youth.
So I'm going to ask now, because Barcelos has been involved, Natis Dupree has also joined us. Natis, can you just give us a bit of background about what you're doing and who and where you fit into the whole Inani program?
Okay, I'm from the Gauteng Department of Education, the Director of Inclusion in Special Schools. So basically, it's about providing opportunities for the differently abled learners, as Nico has expressed. Through the last 6 years, we've worked closely with Inani in ensuring access to support after school for learners in special schools. The misperception that the community has is that a learner in a special school cannot go and be self-sustainable after school. Now, first of all, there's various special schools where they follow the same curriculum as any normal school up your road. So the grade 12 certificate that lots of children with special educational needs receive do not stand back in lesser quality than any of the other learners in any other schools. It's just about accommodating the special educational needs. The area where Inani has really assisted us in bridging the gap, there's a large cohort of learners that, due to their cognitive abilities, will not be able to get a grade 12 certificate. This is not because they cannot do anything for themselves. They really, because of socioeconomic circumstances, cognitive abilities, the reading, writing abilities are of such a nature that in order for this child to write a essay is going to take him 7-8 hours. So that's not realistically possible. So in these schools, they split the day into two sections. 50% of the day is focused on your academic components, you know, making sure that reading, writing, all of your same subjects, that the learners are taught that. But then schooling must create an opportunity, a springboard for the learners moving forward. And therefore, these schools have various electives, such as hospitality studies, where the learners, part of the syllabus at the school is to assist them to be able to cook, to be a waiter. Now, the strange thing, you would regard this child, you will see this child walking to a school with his special school clothes and think immediately that is a special school child. But if you see that child working in a kitchen, if you see that child working in as a waiter, you would never in your life think that that is a learner from a special school or a learner that we say is a disabled learner. And therefore, Inani has really assisted first in creating a sense of confidence in these learners, where the community has ostracized them, made them feel that you cannot be a member of society, where Inani has assisted us in making sure that once a learner is actually supposed to leave the school, we keep them for a certain period in that safe bubble that is the school. They've got all of the resources, the hospitality studies, the equipment, the machinery, the stoves and everything there, so that the learners can get better in that skill. And then from there, where they are equipped in a skill, the learners move to a place like Barcelos, Maxis, wherever, so that the learners get first-hand experience in working with the community. And the surprising result of that, thought that, okay, we just give these learners an opportunity for a couple of months. And Nico will be able to tell you 6 years down the road, learners that started with, that educators threw them away in the public ordinary schools and said that you're never going to get anywhere. 6 years later, Nico can tell you that those learners are successes in the industry today. So that is a great thing and something that we want to see. It's worked on a small scale and want to see that there's, on an annual basis, there's 3,000 of these learners exiting the system. And unfortunately, as it stands at the moment, we can only support roughly 100 learners on an annual basis, which is a sad thing for me. It means that there's still roughly 2,900 learners that, as a system, we're not able to give them something, and where they actually they can do it if we give them the opportunity. I'm like Nico, I just keep on talking. So I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep on.
That's okay. That's okay. I love that. You know what I'm loving, and having a chat with Shaun earlier on, is I love how, because a lot of the times when you attend courses or you attend school, you leave school and it's like, well, now what? You know, it's like you're not equipped for anything, you're not equipped for the road ahead of you. And that's what I'm liking about this opportunity with Inani, because Inani is there to develop your skills, train you up on how to do things, and then also join or married, as Ornica was sharing with us. You know, she fits the person with the business. So Ornica is there to help with the training, with the application process, to see who best fits with a business, for example, like Barcelos, who's one of the FASA members, who has spearheaded and been one of the first people to say, yes, let's do this and let's do some job creation. So I don't know who wants to take over this conversation, but I'm going to hand it over to either Shaun or to Ornica to just kind of share with us what that experience has been like. So I believe you've got 16 learners under your umbrella at the moment. Who does that work and how does that work? So,
okay, Romany. Our responsibility for these young people is to make sure that they can get the what we call it, the theory training that is linked to learnership. So we do the recruitment processes, and that is how NETAS helps us, because we have to connect to the relevant schools and the relevant learners. And then we need to fill in a lot of documentation in order to submit it to the SETA for approval. Now, once all that is done, that's when we then get an approval to actually start the classes. So we currently have these 15 young people in a class, and they are going through the curriculum. To be honest with you, according to us, they just like any learner going through a program. We have not really experienced much problems in the classes. So they have a dedicated facilitator who takes them through the curriculum on a day-to-day basis. And after that, then they're going to go to Barcelos for exposure to the brand, you know. And after then, that we will then work with Barcelos to place them in the stores that are closest to where the young people are coming from. And then in that 12 months, they are going to learn everything about Barcelos. And as you can hear, Shaun, he has a huge plan of expansion. So like we said, the exit strategy is that they will then be absorbed in the various stores that they would be able to fit in within the country. So the model works very well, to be honest. In terms of the actual classes, not much is a problem. Where we've experienced a problem, we've been able to talk to NETAS, and we've been given support previously by additional facilitators where required. They also provide venues where possible. Now, this program, unfortunately, for example, it started and it was coinciding with their exams, so we couldn't really use any of the school's resources, but other times we are able to use the school's resources. That also helps with the learners feeling more comfortable in an environment where they've been before. Yeah, so from a point of training, I would say the programs run very smoothly.
So can I just ask a question, because you've got 16 learners. Now I'm guessing they all go in at ground level, or do you prepare some to be in management positions, or, you know, as you mentioned earlier, that people can be trained to be waiters. What can you just elaborate on? Where do they start? So when they enter Barcelos.
Okay. Okay, so we are running a professional cookery program and a fast food program. So that is very much technical into the cooking within the stores. So that is where the learners will then be put in. Now, through the 12 months, if there is potential skills from those learners, we will then have a report around potential young people that can do a management course. Now, if we need to do a management course, it would then mean another application processes to get funding for them to run a course called generic management. If we do see potential for a person to own a store, We will also apply for funding that we call new venture creation, where it is about entrepreneurship. And such a person will then be transferred to our SBU2 to be able to get the right mentoring, support, and everything linked to a person to become an entrepreneur. So they would move out of the talent into incubator into the business incubator. Should we identify a potential learner from the group?
You know what? I'm just loving this. The more I hear about it, the more I love it. And now we just have that where I know that I struggle with the theory of everything. I takes me 10 times harder to do the theory. I'm more of a hands-on person. You know, I love the on-the-job training. And I think that's what I love about this project, is that the person is not just left out there to go and find out how to cope and how to get the work and find employment. Now they kind of get worked into a business, an existing business. So now I'm going to chat with Shaun about his experience and their plans and how they see Barcelos fitting into this program.
Thank you, Romany, and thank you and hi to everybody. Firstly, I'd like to just say that we feel humbly privileged to be able to be a part of this program, because over the many years of being in business, you know, we've always felt that there's been a disconnect between these learnerships and programs and, you know, empowering our communities and uplifting our communities, which we have a responsibility to do, I believe, as business. So that we've been very fortunate to be approached and been party to this whole process. We typically have the vehicle. We have the means to be able to create employment. But there's always been a shortfall of, you know, either funding or, you know, these kind of initiatives that have been presented to us. So as part of our responsibility to our South African community, I think it's also time to give back to our fellow South Africans as a sign of gratitude for the years and years of support that have enabled us to have grown to the degree that we have now. We're very fortunate to be on a rapid rollout growth program by means of association with the likes of Engine Petroleum, which we're very honored to be a part of as well. And that has enabled us to fast track growth in South Africa. Not just that, but also our value for money driven mindset behind the business. So by utilizing the brand, we are able to give back to our communities. And we've also got an internal training academy, which we will be utilizing with the candidates that come through from Ornica and team. Once they've got the theoretical side of catering and the hospitality industry, and we'll be orientating them in our business, you know, being the flame grilled chicken business, and then preparing them and kind of giving them the tools to be able to have a long, sustainable future and create a career for themselves, because that's typically where things fall short, in my humble opinion, is, you know, people come in without skills and they fall short and they end up being sidelined and become part of our unemployment statistics in South Africa. So, you know, we're really focusing on taking these candidates and then orientating them in our business and then empowering them to create a future for them and their families. And being in a lesser abled, you know, category, you know, that makes life so much more difficult for them. And if we can be a part of that process, we will and make a difference, we'll be truly honored. And that will be our kind of role play.
So you were mentioning earlier on, before we started this interview, that you'll be facilitating. So you're going to be supplying, what is it exactly? The stores, the training, the actual, do they train at head office? How does that all work with your side?
Look, we'll be taking over from the theoretical side of what Ornica will be doing. And we will be, like I said, orientating them specifically around our brand and what it's like to work in a fast food environment in the hospitality industry. And then obviously creating jobs. As far as the way forward is concerned, I think Nico, you may want to just elaborate a bit further on that, but in collaboration with Nico, we are going to be assisting in opening up stores or acquiring stores, and then placing these individual people that have gone through these training programs into jobs. And then the intention is to make them, enable them or empower them to be able to run their own businesses eventually at the end of the day, and become entrepreneurs within their own rights with the guidance and support from Inani and ourselves.
That sounds really, really great, I must say, in relation to, you know, I always believe what you put in is what you get out. So to me, this is a great opportunity for anyone who wants to get involved in the franchise industry, who wants to grow within a business. This is a great opportunity. But again, it's what you put in. So you have to make the effort, you have to make the dedication, you have to make the time and actually upskill and learn what it is you need to learn with regards to fitting in with, say, the Barcelos brand and meeting the standard requirements that Inani expects from you. Any closing words or something you want to add to that, as Shaun was saying earlier on, Nico?
Yeah, no, thank you, Romany. Look, the guys always hate me when I go into my pilot mindset, but I'm really fond of piloting initiatives first. And as both Shaun and Natas has said, you know, we've piloted this nationally on a smaller scale. This partnership with Barcelos is the first, I want to say, you know, corporate size business that we are partnered with to upscale the results that we have proven so far over the years. And like Ornica also said, we have found that with our differently able children, I just hate the word disabled because it disqualifies in my own mindset an individual, whereas differently able sort of like opens up my mind to inquiring, you know, where are you abled? And we've seen that it's literally only with the initial stages with our differently abled communities youth that they require that little bit of additional assistance, which Ornica then provides through Inani's talent incubator. And from there, we are able to teach the skill to the differently abled youth before the brand then chooses and only sharpens or hones the brand specific skill, that last 10 or 15% required. And even moving forward with the Department of Basic Education, we just got approved only end of last week that as Inani, as a non-profit company, will now be compiling a database for the Basic Education Department of all of these 2,000 to 3,000 youth that exits the school system annually, so that we can upscale. You know, it's literally, we piloted this for about between 8 and 9 years with the National Department of Tourism. And in a nutshell, what that means is any franchisor or franchisee that's increasing their footprint or opening up a store will be able to connect with Inani, and then from our pot, our pool of talent, we will be able to inform you what the current existing trained staff in that specific town or area is. And it just reduces your setup cost for your new business. It literally decreases the wage bill. We've piloted this previous years with McDonald's as well, successfully, and it has literally halved their wage bill, the training bill that they require to establish a new footprint increase or a new franchisee. So that's the stage where we're moving towards. We will be able to offer that to all the members on the FASA platform, provided you are a member and also receive the newsletter, of course.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I was hearing, you know, when I was listening to Natas mentioning, you know, that they've only got capacity, say, for 100 students at a time, and thousands of them get let go into the system. Whereas that if more franchise businesses come on board, it can open up more job creation. That's what I'm picking up throughout this. What I'm also liking about this is that, as you say, you know, the franchisors now actually have access to a pool of, say, almost pre-qualified candidates rather than just taking someone off the street and now you've got to upskill them and train them right from the word go. You know, whereas now you've got already pre-qualified, they know what they're getting themselves into, and you know, they can fall under the umbrellas of the Barcelos and all the various other franchise businesses out there. And yes, we are in support of ethical business and ethical franchises. So I just want to thank you for everyone who is joining us today. I also want to remind you that if you want to share this with anybody who's interested in franchise opportunities, or maybe you've got someone who is, what is, I love that word, I keep forgetting that word, differently abled, to get involved, to please make contact with Inani, see how you can apply, speak to Ornica, who is in charge of that department, and to join us again. So just to remind you, thank you to Shaun Stoltz from Barcelos, who's joined us today. Thank you to Madame O, Ornica, and to Natus Dupree and to Nico Botha for their time. And just to remind you in closing that FASA is a non-profit organization that protects, lobbies and promotes ethical franchising across all sectors in South Africa with a specific focus on transformation. FASA offers membership to both existing franchisors and franchisees who supports and runs ethical businesses. Should you want to get in contact with FASA about membership or the Inani program, you can contact them by visiting the website at www.fasa.co.za. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a super time whatever it is you're doing. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.